Okay, looks like we are starting to record. Okay, we can get ready started now. Okay, welcome back. Put the next thing on and try it again. Okay, and we are back. Welcome to the SoapBox, the place where people who work, volunteer, and care about recovery tell us who they are and what they are most passionate about. My name is Rich Jones, and I represent Second Starts, that's number 2, NDSTARTS, and parentingyourchildinrecovery.com. My guest today is Barry Lehman. Good to see you, Barry.
Good to see you, Rich. Good to be here.
Okay, Barry is let me get you down here. Barry
Okay.
is the author of Mastering Recovery, applying mastery to long-term recovery. He's a retired addictions counselor and pastor. Barry, they're not going to let you retire from the pastor thing. I hate to break it to you. He's
I've
been in
learned that.
recovery since he's been in recovery since 1988. Congrats on that. And he is a speaker, consultant, coach, trainer, and trumpet player, which we are going to circle back around to that. I just want to let you know. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Barry, real quick, give me that Cliff Notes version of who Barry is and let everybody know, what makes Barry tick.
Well, what makes me tick today is recovery, and that's obvious, or I wouldn't be here. Uh, One of the things that I, I've been sober for many years, and it was one of those moments that when I realized I had a problem called alcoholism, and I made a decision. Uh, and where I'm going with that is simply when I started in this program, it started with AA, as well as treatment, obviously. But what I learned there and what I continue to say, and I was reminded of it again recently, a friend of 35 years still quotes me and talks about me when he says, I have this friend. And that friend, he says that everything I know about living in a healthy way is found in the 12 steps. That's
Okay.
how I do it.
All right.
And that's what makes me tick.
Okay.
I'll be honest. Even when I'm not talking about the 12 steps, it's all about recovery.
Okay. Very great. Good to have you here, Barry. Before we go on, let's just say this real quick. Uh, I make it very important to let everybody know that our show notes are very important here because we're going to put a lot of extra stuff in there about Barry and some other things. So remember, in this show notes section, it's very important you get all the information about Barry, including his contact information, his current and future projects, and his thoughts about recovery. Also, we're going to give you information if you are the parent or a mentor of a young adult between 17 and 24, and you are looking for a unique non-clinical process that works with any application, look in the show notes and find that. We also have a place for practitioners who want to combine this non-clinical method with their own practice. Okay, Barry, so I'm going to put you up on the soapbox right now. I'm going to give you a couple of things, and I want to hear exactly how you're feeling about it and tell me what you say. So it's time for you, Barry, to get up on the soapbox. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Barry, tell me more, enlighten me more about your view about long-term sobriety as a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle.
Well, I put clinical together with this non-clinical over the years because I was 5 years sober when I got my license certification to be a counselor, and for most of the past 30 years, I've worked with people in initial recovery. First, usually 3 weeks. Spent the last 17 years working at a residential program here in Minnesota, the Mayo Clinic,
Okay.
and I've learned a lot about what makes addiction, alcoholism happen. And most of what we know about it and what's out there in the world happens in that first 2 years.
All right.
The first 2 years are incredibly important. You're rebuilding a life. One of the biggest things people say, well, I'm going to get my life back. No, you never had one. I mean, I don't put it quite that strongly, but
Right.
if you've been in active addiction for more than 6 months, you haven't had one for a long time, and you're not going back to that. That's where long-term recovery. Those first 2 years, you go through the first year when you get through everything. the first time,
Right.
your first birthday, your first holiday, your first this, your first that. Then you get into the second year, and what happens is you begin to deal with a lot of the issues, some of which contributed to the addiction, some of which were caused by the addiction. So you deal with those for the second year. You're repairing relationships. You're repairing lots of things over those first 2 years. Then at the end of 2 years, you've now gone through 2 years of firsts and seconds, and now you go, oh, is this all there is? And at first, that feels pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually more than pretty good. It feels downright like being reborn. Everything has color to it. It's wonderful. What happens though is you then get used to it. We humans like novelty, and
Right.
so
Right.
So what happens? Gee, this isn't as exciting as it used to be.
Okay.
Life was more exciting when I was living on the edge.
Right.
And that's where long-term recovery. How do you continue to grow and build? If you go through the steps and you're a person who works a 12-step program, how do you continue to find something new in these relatively few words in a almost 90-year-old book?
Okay.
And that's where what I found, and we'll get into this with music, the process of mastering something, the process of mastery.
And move right into that, Barry, because that's going to be my next soapbox points for you. Talk to me about mastery and your thoughts about mastery. That was very interesting to me.
Okay, well, I've been a trumpet player for 63 years now, and I never stopped. I'm not one of those who went and stopped playing for 40 years and took it up again. I played regularly, and for the past 40, I've played in community bands and quintets, jazz band. 10 years ago, in fact, about 10 years ago this week, I attended a workshop, a trumpet workshop. It was mainly for kids still in high school and first year of college, but there were a few of us adults who showed up, and I learned how to practice. Now, this was after 50 years of being a trumpet player. I learned how to build my skills into something entirely different than I thought I could do. And I discovered a joy of practicing, a joy of music that I always loved it, and it was part of me. I discovered what that mastery was, the heart of that. And mastery is a process, and there's a number of really good books, and I'll send them to you so you can put them in the show notes.
Okay, great.
There's a number of really good books on mastery that go through the process, the 3-step process. And I hate to use the word step, the three phase process.
Okay.
You stick to the foundation. What are the basics? I had a chance to meet both Herb Alpert and Doc Severinsen a number of years ago, since this happened, since 10 years ago. And they both practice scales forever and ever and long tones, the basics that every trumpet player goes, do I really have to do that forever? And the answer from Doc or Herb would be, yeah, you do. You got to stay with that. That's the foundation. You got to keep it strong. The second is flow or practice. And that's the mastery part, where you connect with others, you get a mentor, you get someone who helps you learn, and who's willing to critique you in a real way and say, yeah, you're doing great here, but I'm hearing this when you play that.
Right.
I still have I have a teacher. I've worked with teachers for the past 10, 12 years.
Okay.
And that's what they do. That's what they do. And then the third phase is when you move into the freedom to begin to build on it, and it becomes a flow that moves into freedom, and you live by your values. What's important? Why am I playing trumpet? I think you can see some of the obvious with recovery, because what I discovered after a few years is this process is really what the 12 steps encourage. It's working the steps, if you will.
Right.
But it's also things like sponsor. It's working with others. It's finding out what your hope and directions are in life. It's not going back when you get in recovery. It's not going back to say, well, I always wanted to do this, so I guess I just got to do it.
Right.
It's looking at what are your values. You've thrown away most of your values or ignored them for many years.
Okay.
And that freedom to move into it. That's what happens in that last, after you get through that. So what do? You stick with the basics. You say, okay, what's important for my recovery right
Right.
now? And that's the inventory part where you regularly check yourself out. What's going on? What's real? How do you do this? Am I feeling good about it? And I always start from what's been working well for you. That's the stuff that's there that's helped you. Those are the basic tools that have helped you get where you are.
So you like to basically apply that 12-step mentality to, you know, life in general.
Without it, I wouldn't be able to do what I do. And I don't mean just this. I mean having a relationship with my wife, having a relationship with my daughter, who was in second grade when I got sober.
Right.
So it's all those things, getting things done. I still have some of the old procrastinating addict up there in the head who said, yeah, why don't you just go take a nap? Well, sometimes I'll go and say, I really do need a nap today. That's the
Okay.
self-care part of it. You learn to take the inventory. That's what's under the foundation. What am I doing right? What's working? What isn't working right now is the next question. Where do I feel uncertain? Why is this not working? Why am I feeling this way?
Okay.
And so you say, okay, what can I do to apply it?
Okay. I like that. Barry, let's talk about, you brought this up too to me, the space between early recovery and long-term recovery. Talk about that space in there. What's your thoughts on that?
It's often a pink cloud, is the phrase that's used.
Okay.
It just feels good. Once you get past that first year, it feels good. It really does, and you feel really good about what you're able to do. You're learning how to understand the world in a different way. One of the favorites I use, and it just came up at a meeting I was at last week. Somewhere around 6 months, if you're married, your spouse is going to say, you used to be out using all the time, you were never home, you were running around. Now you're sober, you're going to meetings all the time, and you're never home. What's the difference? Well, when I used to do that in treatment, and when I talk to people about it today, I said, what are they really saying? What are they really saying? And they go, well, why do you get defensive? Well, because I'm doing it. Look at all I'm doing. And then they begin to get a little emotional and angry and afraid.
Okay.
Those all begin to build. That's a significant movement point. I said, okay, what if you thought what they're saying is, you're doing better. I want to spend more time with you.
Right.
And I see the lights in their eyes go up at that moment, like, oh, I never thought of that. Now I know that because people have told me that, but I also know it because that happened to me about 6 months into it.
Okay.
Then it happened again about 2 years. And this is where I reconnected with my basics and my foundation, because I found there were things that I was now dealing with mentally, mental health, how to live in a hopefully healthy way. That's when I went back to do more counseling. At that point, more therapy. And work through some ideas. And there were those moments, they happened. There was another one about 4 years in. There was another one down the road here and there. And I found out each time it was trying to get past the old squirrel back here running around, or hamster or whatever, and find a new way to do it.
Okay. All right.
And that's that gap.
Okay, and that's an enlightening. When I listen to you talk about that's enlightening. Those things you said, things that we might take for granted, but when we think back, it's very included. There's a time period, we want to move on, but there's time, and these things have to be dealt with, and we think that we get things fixed fast, and we never hardly get anything fixed fast.
That's right.
But
Hey,
okay.
a friend of mine who's a counselor said would tell families they didn't get to this point in 6 months. They're not going to get healthy again in 6 months.
Right.
It takes time.
Exactly. Okay. Real quick, we want to talk again. Remember, it's important that you look at these show notes after, because Barry's going to put some juicy stuff there, and we've got some other things to talk to you about. Remember, anything about Barry's going to be in here. Barry's going to load us up so we can have what we can. And remember, also we have information for parents and mentors of young adults between the ages of 17 and 24, looking for a unique non-clinical process that works along with any other intervention that you might be using, and also an area in there for practitioners who want to learn about this and see if you want to partner with this activity. Okay, Barry, let's talk about any future projects you got. I'm interested to hear you talk about your book. We talked about the book on the intro, but you've got another volume coming out? What's happening here?
Right. I'm starting to work on a second volume all about mastering recovery. The first one came out about 3 years ago. I'm coming up on 5 years of doing a newsletter. I do a weekly newsletter. That's how I started putting the ideas together, and people can sign up for it. It's free, and they can unsign themselves anytime. But in that, I go through what is recovery in general, what is mastery, and putting them together. And mastery works with anything. You can be doing all DBT, CBT, cognitive therapy, and this all works with it.
Okay.
In fact, I think cognitive and therapy is probably one of the most significant things that occurred in the treatment field since I've been in the treatment field. That didn't exist then.
Okay.
Not the way we use it today. And I highly recommend it. And as well as the 12 steps. But some people have problems with the steps, and I understand that. And if it's the only way, there's a lot of people who are in trouble.
Okay, and understood.
So
I believe in the adjunct. I believe in the combining of the traditional therapies with the non-clinical things, and using every asset you have in the book. It's one of my big things. Every asset, everything's in the toolbox. Let's get it out.
And I would add to that the second most, and perhaps, and for the long term, the number one change is over these 30 years I've been in the field. We've learned about mindfulness and meditation.
Okay. Huge
shift, because that's where I learn what's going on inside me and become more aware on a regular basis that I can, when it's important enough that I need to catch it right away, I often do. It means I often don't as well. And that's where the awareness of self is important and that's huge. That's huge.
You have a mastermind group? Does it go along with this?
That's what I'm at the point of starting that. I just retired from the Mayo Clinic back in March, which now means I'm free and supposedly have the time to be able to do all these things. I know. But so writing the book and doing a mastermind, I'd really like to do the long-term coaching. I can do the first 3 months easily. And I have friends who work in that field in terms of coaching. I have friends who work with families in that. I'm hoping to work with individuals in that, especially the 3 to 5 year period, because there's a point, and research indicates it's between 3 and 4.5 years, where things they don't become slippery as much as they become boring.
Okay.
What do I do now? Most people in recovery at that point will say, okay, I'm sober, I'm clean, I'm doing well. And if this is as good as it gets, it's better than it used to be. Well, I'm saying there's more to it than that. And, you ain't seen nothing yet kind of idea.
Okay.
And that's where I hope to go, to keep people from giving up on working in recovery. That's the lifestyle piece.
Okay.
A person in recovery is who I am. Recovery is what I do. I have to, because the last the last line of the 12th step is, and practice these principles in all our affairs. And that doesn't leave many things open to be outside that group.
Exactly. Well, the mini guide is that now? What is the mini guide?
Well, I'm putting together a bunch of, hopefully in the long run, some mini guides to be used as part of the mastermind, but also for freebies, so to speak, that they can get. The Grow Guide, basically, I took I did three things that say, okay, here's how you work mastery. Here's how you look at a step, whatever step it might be, and ask yourself these questions. How do you go deeper in these steps? And when, I'll admit, when you look at them, they're so simple. You go, well, why didn't I think of that? Well, you didn't think of it because the squirrel is still back here running.
Right.
And that's not a judgment of how well you're doing your program, because you're different today than you were 3 weeks ago, 3 months ago, 5 years ago. And since COVID, the change has been incredible. 30 years since I got in the field, we didn't know some of the stuff we know today. Okay. And I think it's important to grow and say, what does it mean to do step 10 today? I'm all these years, and I heard a new line. If you do a good 10th step on a regular basis, you'll never have to do another 9th step.
Okay.
You're never going to have to go back and do that deep amends again. Or, and this is something that happened with me, I wrote a book about my dad in World War II. Buddy's War is the name of it. And that's what got me into writing, to write that book. Well, I wrote 4 other books before I got to that one, because I kept digging. And I realized after it was printed that that book is my 9th step to my dad, who died when I was 16, many years ago. And I never really got to know him. And I really kind of discounted some of his stuff. He was a medic in World War II.
Okay.
Battle of the Bulge. He was not in the battle directly, but on the edge of it with the 10th Armored.
Is that something that if you put in the show notes, somebody could get and read?
Oh yeah, all of my books are available on Amazon. They're both in Kindle version or ebook, as well as paperback.
Okay, very good. Okay, Barry.
So that's the kind of thing I see as important.
Very good, Barry. Off the beaten track now.
Okay.
I want to get back. I told you I wanted to get back to the trumpet thing.
Okay.
I'm interested in that. I understand that you're learning and you're good, but tell me this. You say you still perform now with groups?
Sure. I just moved, so I'm not in any group right now, but for the past 17 years, I played in 3 community bands, a quintet, a brass quintet, and a jazz big band.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
That is interesting. All right. This is our favorite question. Okay. What's your favorite piece of music? Is there anything that you play that you look forward to? Is there a piece of music that speaks to you along with your trumpet? Tell me.
Obviously, it would be anything jazz, anything Bob Dylan.
Okay.
I won't say anything. I mean, when we're recording this, it's the day after Brian Wilson died of the Beach Boys. But anything Brian Wilson wrote, that's not quite true, but I'm not as big a fan of his. The Bob Dylan songs, believe it or not, the song Chimes of Freedom is, for me, the most important one. But when it comes to jazz, Take 5, When the Saints Go Marching In, Sing, Sing, Sing.
Okay.
Anyone, and then anything Miles Davis. I'm a trumpet player.
You're getting serious now. You're getting heavy now. You're getting heavy now, Miles Davis. You're getting heavy. Okay. All right. Real quick, we'll wrap it up. I just want to say, remember, again, important, the show notes are going to be good. We're going to try to make them taste and really give out some information. I think Barry can dig up some value for you Uh, as we can hear, he's got a lot of knowledge on the subject. He's been working with it for a long time. And I think in this recovery field, I've always noticed it. Gravitate towards your tools, gravitate toward knowledge. You know, you can see knowledge when it's in front of you. Gravitate toward, use it. You're not going to get enough of it. So don't worry about getting overfilled with good knowledge. It's not going to happen. Okay. All right. So remember that we check those show notes, and remember, information for the parents and mentors of young adults between the ages of 17 and 24, a non-clinical process, and also for you practitioners to look at that non-clinical process, because it works along with what you're doing. It's an adjunct situation where we help you make your situation and your people better.
Let me jump in here, Rich, real quick. Yeah. That's one of the pieces. I talked about the people in early long-term recovery, 2 to 3, 4 years. I'm also looking, and I've also done work with a number of treatment programs around here in Minneapolis that we're working and doing continuing ed programming for them. And how do you begin to do this? And I'm looking at developing that maybe into a mastermind of its own if there's enough interest.
Okay, very good. Yeah, very good. I could definitely see some interest in that. Hey, guys, we're going to be able to find this show, we know, on YouTube at Second Starts YouTube. That's number 2 NDSTARTS.com. We're going to put it on that channel. We're going to put it on parentingandrecovery.com or Parenting and Recovery YouTube channel. Also, we're going to put some excerpts on this on the podcast so you can hear back and forth. So, Barry, I want to thank you.
Thank you.
This is my actually the comeback flagship, program. So that was good.
It's good to have you back, because that young adult age is so important, and it's. I'm not going to say it's more difficult at that age. It's just than any other, but young adults have a lot going on. And they're still growing and still building. And that says to me that if you get across that point right then and accept and understand what's going on, you're going to have an incredible life ahead of you.
And that's why I'm a firm believer in that time space. I'm an old jail nurse who worked with the Juveniles Plus. And to me, that's such a time of turmoil, but it's also such a time of mental flexibility.
Right.
And it's a great time to teach and learn. It's the best time to teach and learn. Crossing into that childhood to adulthood, great time. So look for us again. Barry, I want to thank you. I'm Richard Jones again for Second Starts and Parenting Your Child in Recovery. And in closing, I want to say this. Let's remember to help somebody get better, and help somebody stay better, and help somebody be better. Thank you, and goodbye till next time. All right, Barry.
Okay.
We're I haven't cut it off yet, but we're done with that. Oh, listen, I want to thank you so much for that. We got some glitches. I'm gonna turn this thing off now.